First order of business, I am, as the chairman, giving a new version of Robert's Rules of Order. It's Webster's New World of Robert's Rules of Order, simplified and applied, third edition. It was copyrighted 2014, so we'll be using this version of Robert's Rules in all future school committee meetings. The other one was just a pocket guide, and this is more comprehensive. The district mission statement: the mission of the Exeter West Greenwich Regional School District is to empower students to dream, reach, and succeed. Open forum. There is a 3-minute limit per individual, 15 minutes maximum time allowed for our open forum. Comments must be directed to the chairperson of the school committee who may limit or terminate the discussion. No comments should address personnel, litigation, or negotiations as restricted by open meetings regulations. The school committee cannot take action on vote or topics introduced that are not reflected on our agenda. Are there any members of the audience at this time that would like to make a comment to the school committee? So proceed.
Where's the best place for me to go this morning?
Your name again?
I'm Jen Squire, 25 Daily Drive, Greenwich. I just have a question. I wanted to know if there's a job description for class advisor. I'm coming to you tonight because you probably heard I've talked to Jim a little bit about planning homecoming, and the kids who are on the senior class council, which is in charge of homecoming, have a lot of community and family support for doing a larger event if we could get sign off on it. And we're not able to get cooperation from the class advisor. So I feel like that is less of an advisor role at this point and becoming more of a dictatorial, which is probably too strong a word to use, but that's the best I can come up with in front of you. So I just would like to know if there's a job description for that, and if so, if I can see it or where I would be able to find it on the internet, because there's a lot of parents that want to help do something larger than what the kids are kind of being told they can do. And it's not coming from administration, it's coming from the class advice.
So, as you know, we can't answer any questions. The school committee, however.
Does a job description exist for that role, senior class advisor?
I understand. And the school committee is a public body, and we are bound by the agenda to answer any questions.
Okay.
That's not one of them. That's not on our agenda. So I suggest.
So the public discussion can only be about something that's coming up later in the meeting?
Correct. And it's not.
Okay.
So if you wouldn't mind looking forward to your email
Sure.
to our superintendent
Yep.
in our office,
Yep.
CC Bob Ross, they'll try to get you an answer.
Okay,
Thank you very much. Is there anybody else that has any questions? I'm sorry, any comments? All right, Jim, could you please read the consent agenda?
Yes. So under consent, we have the approval of both the regular and executive session minutes from September 28th. We have several appointments. These were all coaching vacancies. We have an additional nurse that is being funded through the Department of Health grant. It's funding that was made available through every district, or to every district. And then we have a teacher assistant and a 4-hour supervisory recess assistant. These are the results of some vacancies that occurred as a result of resignation. And then we have one additional teacher assistant resignation, and we intend to fill that position at the next school committee meeting. We also have our monthly bills, and under homeschool approvals, we can delete number 1. So there's only one homeschool approval for a new family. Number 1 shouldn't be on the agenda. That's it.
Do any of the members want anything pulled from the consent agenda? I would like pull the regular ask legal a question. Take those minutes and have those returned at the next meeting for approval, because there's some
Absolutely.
Okay. So unless there's any strong objection, I would like to bring the minutes from the last meeting to the next meeting for approval when the absent member is present. So review these steps. Need a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda, plus the minutes of the last meeting in September. Ready.
Second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Nay, abstentions, the ayes have it. Anybody have any questions? Anything? Anybody want anything discussed under correspondences?
Oh, I just had a question for Jim. I assume most of these absences are approved. But when you include, wouldn't it be a lot higher if you include kids that had to be quarantined?
Yes. So we are coding those absences differently. And for example, last year, when the Department of Ed released their data for the year, those absences did not count against us because kids are required to be absent for order of the Department of Health, which is different than kids just being absent for typical reasons. We have not gotten any specific word that they're adjusting the way that they're collecting the information this year or using the information this year, but we didn't get word last year until late in the year either. So we're just coding them differently so we know, and then when we get the rules, we'll be able to apply them accordingly.
Is there any other questions from the membership? 2021 budget projections, any Bob or Jim? Like to add? Permanent Bob. Did you say you had something?
Yeah, I'm just catching up to where we are. So I just wanted to bring this to the, this was the final projection for 2021. The auditors are well on their way. I thought it was worth bringing to the committee's attention simply because if you look at, as you flow through all of the revenues and expenses and then the commitments and the available from surplus, the activity that the school committee took over the year, in good activity, I might add, that previously we had stated that we would have by the 2021, starting out the new year with a 1.6 million cumulative fund balance. As you can see, the projected operating balance for 2021 shows that we are about $400,000 stronger than previously reported. That's just due to a lot of the movement around transportation in particular last year, tuitions last year, some special education expenses, and then just overall in supplies and materials, we is much more stronger than we had anticipated. So good news, but I just didn't want the committee to be shocked when the auditor submits their final report compared to the previous.
When do we expect the auditors report?
They're typically present in February. It needs to be to the Auditor General by the end of December, and by all council, looks like we're right on target for that, so we should be fine.
Questions from the membership this time?
We'll have unaudited estimated fund balance amounts from the auditor by December that will report out on. We'll just try to confirm that, when the auditor reviews it, this is the final report.
I just had one question about our miscellaneous, our projected miscellaneous income. It went down considerably.
Yeah, Some of that was significant to the preschool tuition was the big area. And then there was just some on the, we do Cobra and kind of payments that we receive for maintaining health and life insurance, and those went down a little also last year.
That's really very strongly connected to the reduction in the preschool enrollment, which I reported out on quite a bit last year.
And I think also we're gonna, that's a line item just for the benefit of all the members that we're going to look at, because what's happening with the UCOA is we're starting to really break out we're starting to get a better handle on, simply because of the dollar values involved. So you can see the CTE tuition was much higher. So there was a period in time where if we picked up a tuition, it would just go to miscellaneous income. I think this is a year where we'll scrub that line and really come in with a realistic budget.
Does membership have any questions on this topic? Hearing none. Next topic, 21-22 budget. It's this one.
Just an oral report that we're up and running, and that going forward, we'll start with the projections probably the next school committee in November. We can have we'll start pivoting towards the 2022 operations and report out on that. But right now, everything is still on target with our revenues and our expenses.
Does membership have any questions for Bob or Jim? Jim, on the COVID money, I keep hearing that they're going to release $500 million in the next month. Does any of that happen in the earmark for the school system at this point? You heard anything from this?
So there is money that is earmarked for the school system. It's the ESSER 3. That's the first pot of money under Biden. That application was supposedly going to be released to us. I have not seen it yet. They've given us a preview of the questions, but the application itself has not come out.
Sure.
And the rules for how that money is spent are exactly the same as the rules that were in place for ESSER. It's really about targeting health and safety and targeting closing achievement gaps. So that's the money that we're using for the added support, the added interventionist at MedCap, the added psychologist, the things that we had talked about before. So the thinking is that we are not going to apply for much of that grant this year. There's a few miscellaneous things that we're looking at, but the bulk of the money we want to hold so that we can continue some of the supports, evaluate the supports, make sure that they're making the difference that we intend them to make. And if they are, we want to continue those supports for an additional year or two, because we know that to make the change that we're looking for, it's going to take time to close the gaps that exist as a result of COVID. So that's where we are at this point.
All right. Moving on, monthly status reports. Either Jim or Bob or Maria any statements to make on status reports?
We'll just answer questions if anybody has membership.
Questions for Diane?
It's not a question. I just wanted to thank Jim for getting that bus situation taken care of so that we have fewer kids staying out. Now, are they still going 6 feet, or did they let us go to 2 feet?
So it is still 6 feet at the current time. However, the way that we are now seating children on the bus was approved by the Department of Health and actually released to the entire state, so the whole state could use that strategy. And when I report out on the return to school guidance, you'll understand the positive impact that has had. We were quarantining 50, 60 kids during 2-week periods of time, the last 2 reports. we've had a total of 4 children quarantined in the last 2-week period. So the improvement has been pretty substantial. It's not all because of the buses, but there is a significant change as a result of the bus seating charts that we've put in place. I'm really happy about it.
Thank you.
How's the high school HVAC system progressing?
Excellent.
Oh,
In a word.
when do you
Excellent.
expect it to be done?
I don't know if we want to, I guess we could get there under the capital projects. Yes, this is the week we'll find out if the remaining 3 units that go on the roof are going to be delivered or not. These would be the rooftop units that really get into the complete air exchange for probably 70% of the building right now. 30% is up and running and fine. The heating is not going to be the issue. The air exchange is not the issue because every room has the air filtration systems that were provided to us by the state vis-a-vis the feds last year during COVID to address any of the ventilation shortfalls. So we're fine. It's just really just waiting for those 3 units to tie in everything to button up that project. And once that occurs, which we are hoping they will ship on the 15th, end of the month, early November, and then that work will be done, and then they will start the shakedown, which is doing all the programming and making sure that all the systems are functioning as designed.
Did you say that they're being shipped at the end of the week, or we're taking delivery at the end of the week? Shipped. All right.
Fingers crossed.
All right, so moving on to new business. This is a matter of review and authorize acceptance of proposals for Westerly Community Credit Union teacher grants.
So for the past several years, the Westerly Credit Union has given teachers in our area the opportunity to apply for small grants up to about $5,000. We approved about 10 or 11 applications last year, and we had about 5 teachers that were ultimately awarded their grant. I do anticipate that we'll have more applications, but as we get them, we'll bring them to the school committee for authorization. They're pretty self-explanatory. The first 2 are in your packet. And the explanation, let me just show you where that is. If you missed it, is on the second to the last page. So it kind of gives a 1-paragraph description of what the teacher is looking for and some educational goals, long-term goals, and community goals, which is part of the application that has been requested. So the first one is to support the student engagement initiative at the high school, and it's coming from a teacher in the business, media, and technology department. And it is for designing and creating products in a new makerspace area in the high school. So it's a pretty engaging opportunity for kids. And then the second one, item B, is for the library, and her explanation is pretty lengthy. But it has to do with supporting the electric car challenge, which is a hands-on STEM project that the librarian will oversee here at the junior high school. So 2 pretty engaging opportunities for the kids, and if their grants are approved, we'll bring them, we'll use that money to get those things running here at the junior high school.
So do you need these motions today? So
I mean, we typically, we're going to get more applications. I anticipate by the next meeting, we'll have a few more, and they just keep coming. It's a rolling application. So in the past, we've just brought them to the community as they come in.
okay, that's fair. So I need a motion for item A and B. So Diane, can you make a motion on A?
I'll make a motion to review and authorize acceptance of proposal for West Village Community Credit Union to join Makerspace in School Sport.
Need a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Nay, abstentions, motion carries.
I just want to see the car and they're gonna race. They're
I'll tell, when we do the school presentations, we get that grant, I'll tell the teacher that wins that grant that she needs to be part of the high school presentation. So you can see it.
I'll make a motion to authorize acceptance for proposal of Office of Library and Information Services VRPA grant.
Need a second? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Nay, abstentions, motion carries. 22-23 budget development timeline approval, Jim.
So every year, Robin puts together the budget development timeline. It's really based on the rules that are established in the charter about when meetings need to happen. So this is consistent with what we have typically done. And it kind of gives you the dates for, when we begin, when we have workshops, when we have joint meetings with the town council, when we advertise, public hearing, and so forth. But again, it just follows the same format that we have typically done, consistent with the charter. But thanks to Robin for putting this together.
Right. Need a motion to accept and approve the school committee's timeline.
I'll make a motion to approve the 2022-2023 budget and development timeline.
Second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nays, abstention, motion passed. Unfinished business.
So there's one more.
Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Always too optimistic.
This is short.
School committee meeting dates. So I guess these are the dates for next year.
Yeah, so it's, we do these by calendar year. And they are all scheduled for the second and fourth Tuesday of each month. The only difference is in June, and that has to do with the conflict with the Exeter town meeting, or financial meeting. And everything else is consistent with what we typically do. There are some months where we hold only one meeting, but on the months that we hold two meetings, it's the second and fourth Tuesday of the month, consistent with our current schedule.
Are we meeting on the day of the all-day referendum? Yeah, if so, is it on here, or is this just regular?
So that is part of the budget timeline that we approved in the last session. That special meeting is the very last item on that budget timeline.
Sure.
So the all-day referendum is the 11th, and then there's a special school committee meeting that night at 8:30. These are the regular school
The regulars. Sure.
Okay.
Any questions from the membership?
I'll make a motion to approve the 2022 school committee dates.
Need a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. No, nays, abstentions, motion passes. Now we're really unfinished business. Charter review committee update. Oh,
There's no update. The last meeting we had was the day before our last school committee meeting. We provided the update then, so we're just waiting for the next meeting to occur. I don't think there's anything.
that's an update.
Yeah, we were, like the superintendent said, we got 50%. And then we received two charter changes. One has to do with building committee, school committee, roles, and another is to reinstate the amendment to the budgets by town folks. So those are things that will be considered under the changes to the charter language. So it's the 50-50 in those two things so far.
Second.
Monitoring what comes.
I understand there was one on building committee. There was another reinstating.
Yes, well, you're trying to get to 50-50, the rolling average.
Oh, okay. Yeah, really. All right. All right. Any questions from the membership of the Senate? Beyond 21-22 return to school guidance updates.
So I included some of the updates in my status report, but I want to give you the 2-week summary of positive cases. I've been doing that at each school committee meeting. I'll remind you that for the first 2 weeks of school, we had a total of 25 cases. I reported on that. At the last school committee meeting on the 28th of September, I reported that we had 15 new cases during that 2-week period. And in the 2 weeks since September 28th, I am reporting 3 new cases and a total of only 4 quarantined children as a result of close contact. So it is an 80% reduction in positive cases and an even much greater reduction in the number of children that are quarantined as a result of close contact. So everything is moving in a really positive direction at this point, and hopefully, this is a sign for many weeks to come. That's great news.
Questions or comments? Great. All right. Moving on to capital projects update, John, especially Rod, already took away some of our.
So
what do you got?
So we had the HVAC discussion earlier, so that, again, we're getting towards the tail end of that. Today I met with Louis Torado and a Denise Wilhelm, who is the ADA coordinator for the state of Rhode Island, the assistant state ADA coordinator. And what we're trying to resolve is the access for disabled folks to get to the stage. And right now, in order to get on the stage in the auditorium, you have to exit the auditorium, go down the hallway a little bit, come back through a set of doors, and then go up the ramp to get to the stage area, which is really less desirable or the least desirable, whether it's for a participant or someone receiving or someone presenting, so with a disability. So we're trying to resolve that. We have her in today. There are a couple of ideas on the table. We just want to make sure that anything that we put in there is okay with her, because that is a RIDE requirement as part of the stage 3 approval, that you include these different entities around the state to make sure that you've got good design work. So Torado and his team will be working on presenting some options to the building committee and then vis-a-vis the school committee. The next area is then from there went over to Metcalf School to look at the roof structure there with David O'Day, engineer. And this is going to sound kind of odd, but the and I didn't explore it because of just, I know we will as we go along, but good news, bad news. The good news is there could be significant savings in the Metcalf roof, because based on the design, the structural design analysis, the type of system that we had designed, that the architects had designed, would keep the snow load pretty heavy on the roof. In other words, there won't be a lot of heat going up through the roof. Snow will accumulate, increases the load. It's not what the building was designed for, that type of load. So we need to kind of rethink that a little bit. I know in the past, you know, there's always, when there's a bunch of snow, we've had to clean some of the flat rooftops off. We've done that at Lynham, but we've never had to do that at Metcalf, simply because we probably lose enough heat through the building or just the right amount. And then there's natural solar melting, and it's never been an issue. But if we increase the R value with the design that was put forward, O'Day engineering, structural engineering is concerned that the load could be too much. So they're going to iron that out for us a little bit. Thursday morning, we're going over to Wawaloon to look at that structure. And for people who are in the business, or maybe just, if you just kind of think of it, you know, Wawaloon was a flat roof, and then they put a truss roof on top of it. So that just creates just a real tough area to work in up there in the peaks and valleys. So at any rate, we'll be looking at that on Thursday. So the good news is that we're carrying a good amount of money in the budget for those two projects, so we should be fine. That's where we are.
Questions or comments? So important dates, Tuesday, October 26th, school committee meeting, November 9th, school committee meeting, Tuesday, November 23rd, approaching Thanksgiving, school committee meeting. Need a motion for us to move into the executive session in accordance with as identified. So Diane, we're you again.
I'll make to move to executive session. In accordance with 42-46-5, security policy 2300, school safety plans, emergency and crisis response management, annual review. Motion.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye. And abstentions, motion passes.
And the executive session and no vote. So,
All those in favor say aye. Nay, abstention, motion passes. We need to declare that there's no votes were taken in the executive session. So we got it?
Yep.
All right, so we need a motion to adjourn.
motion made.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Nay, abstentions.